The story opens up with a collection of robbers hijacking an aircraft that just landed at a eastern airport out of doors. The aircraft a squad team is making ready to ambush the hijackers. Meanwhile, excessive rating officers are watching the terrifying state of affairs in a panic. Enter the aircraft. All people is terrified except for a lady named Yankami, who is just awoke from her sleep. Her seatmate attempts to hush her, but Yankami starts off evolved, talking loudly, drawing the attention of the hijacker. One of the hijackers even pulls a gun at her, but Yankami seems unfazed and scolds them. She then starts arguing with the hijackers, and gunshots are heard within the plane. Following that, the police pressure prepares to attack, and scenes in front of the planes go out door. However, everybody is taken aback when they discover that the hijackers have already been defeated by a Yankami. This heroic act is going viral on state television, making Yankami an immediately sensation. Back at home, Yami's family celebrates her and says they're very proud of her movements. It seems that Yanami is not an everyday lady, and he or she comes from a effective Yakuza-owned family. Her mother and father exceeded away when she turned into younger, making her the fourth heir after her grandfather. Moreover, it turns out that Yankami has been working as a math instructor at Ado High faculty for the past 7 years. However, she continues her historical past a mystery from both her students and fellow teachers. The following day, as Yanami arrives at faculty, she notices her colleagues discussing approximately the recent aircraft hijacking rescue. The primary intervenes and puts in quit to their discussion. He then takes Yanami aside and advises her no longer to attract attention to herself in such huge information stories, as it is able to divulge her genuine identity. Yanami additionally apologizes and assures him that it might not take place again. But their verbal exchange is all at once interrupted whilst a brand new apprentice trainer named Odagiri arrives. He seems to be Yumi's former pupil, and he or she is extremely joyful that her college students are following in her footsteps and becoming instructors. However, she gets dissatisfied, while Odiri informs her that he is most effective doing this as a tryy out, and it does not suggest he can be a teacher. Afterward, he brings Odiri into the lecture room and introduces him to the students. However, it looks as if the scholars do not admire her, and they definitely ignore her efforts. Yankami then invitations her college students to the area to examine greater approximately Odagiri. Unfortunately, none of the scholars display up at the field, leaving her upset. Meanwhile, we see 5 students on the roof, whose chief is a man named Ra, and her pals discuss why Odiri has unexpectedly come lower back as an instructor, because he was once a totally tough pupil. In the following scene, Yami's former college students gather at a restaurant and talk that they noticed her with a man there, bowled over due to the fact they can't consider Yanami is able to finding a boyfriend. At the same time as they chat about this, Yanami and Odiri arrive for lunch. She then introduces Odiri to her former college students, claiming he is a brand new trainer. Hearing this, her college students realize that they misread the scenario and joke that Yami could never entice one of these good-looking guy. Listening to this, Yanami feels terrible and proceeds to scold them, but Odiri stops her. After this, Yami and her former college students determine to devour together, figuring out it's been a long time due to the fact their high college graduation. As they consume, they start sharing memories, approximately what they have been up to, considering the fact that graduation. Afterward, one of the students admits that they all to begin with notion Yanami wouldn't be capable of handle teaching and might stop quickly. However, they may be amazed to see that she has No longer simplest succeeded but remains operating as an instructor on the equal excessive faculty. Listening to this, Yanami feels emotional and starts crying, so her students fast express regret and luxury her. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Ra's friends who were casually hanging out at the aspect of the street. They may be confronted by a bike gang who tries to extort money from them. Seeing this, Ra quick steps in and tells the crowd now not to trouble his pals. Due to this, they get into a fight, but Ra successfully manages to conquer them and chases them away. That night, Yami invitations Odiri to her residence for dinner. She introduces him to her circle of relatives and mentions that she's constantly dreamed of inviting her college students for a drink and placing out with them. After some time, Young has a piece too much to drink and ends up passing out. Odiri then has a conversation with Yami's grandfather. He well known shows that Yanami is the motive. He became an instructor. He is going on to say that while Yanami can be annoying at times, she taught him many lifestyles instructions and inspired him to work tough at some stage in high college. Day after today, on their way to high school, I'm unexpectedly runs into of her former students who had been quite difficult at some point of their school days. To her wonder, she learns that they have turned their lives round and are actually doing well, but her attention is quickly diverted by a person giving a speech close by. As she gets toward the person, she notices that his face is very similar to her former lover. It seems that this man is Curious Kentaro, and he is the proprietor of Japan's largest IT employer. He is now aiming to increase his affect by way of going for walks. For role of Governor, Yanami is right away captivated through him and proclaims her sturdy assist for his marketing campaign. The scene then shifts to Ado High Faculty, where a motorcycle gang unexpectedly appears. They grow to be members of the infamous institution called Black Skull, who has lower back to get revenge on Ra. Even the academics are afraid of them, so the major right now calls the police for help. Upon listening to the upcoming police sirens, the Black Cranium contributors decide to back down for now. However, they vow to return once more to her, searching for revenge on Ra. Following that, the primary summons Ra and his buddies to his workplace and scolds them for causing problem at the school. He demands an evidence from them. However, the men declare that the bike gang had to begin with provoked the problem by way of annoying money from them. The important doesn't trust their phrases, but all at once Yanami steps in. She assures the primary that they're telling the truth, mentioning that she will inform while they're lying. Hearing this, the foremost decides to let the matter go, however, tells he that if her college students cause any extra hassle inside the future, she will be fired right away. Later in Magnificence, Ra and his buddies are shocked with the aid of Yami's willingness to risk her activity for their sake. Now not wanting to put her in any extra problem, Ra comes to a decision to quit the matter once and for all. His friends try to persuade him now not to go against such risky human beings, but Ra leaves anyway. Later on, Yanami arrives within the study room with Odagiri and discover that Ra has left to confront the group. She's disappointed in her students for now not preventing him and letting him move by myself. After scolding them, she heads out to discover Ra. In the interim, Odiri confronts the boys and reminds them that if they're actual friends of Ra, they have to stand by using his side irrespective of what. The scene then shifts to Ra, who has reached the hideout of the Black Skull gang. He warns them to stay away from his school and challenges their chief for a one-on-one combat. However, the leader refuses him and they all gang up to beat Ra. Moments later, the constructing starts to shake and the wall collapses, leaving a large hollow in the wall from there. Arrives and demands the crowd to launch her scholar. The gang then turns on her, and he or she starts to overcome them one at a time. She remains overpowered by way of them, but simply when all wish appears, long gone Odiri arrives and allows her the two then beat up the institution and ultimately chases them away. Simply then Ra's friends additionally arrive and thank Y for her help. Stressed Ra questions how a normal instructor can fight like this. She answers him that she became able to fight due to the fact she cares for her students. The next morning Ra starts treating Yanami with greater respect, and his pals greet her excellent morning. Seeing this, Yanami is overjoyed that her college students are sooner or later appreciating her. Afterward, a few law enforcement officials arrive at the faculty, which freaks out Yanami. She thinks it is about the previous night's combat. Best to examine that one of her college students, Renkaza, is suspected of a drug deal. The teachers declare that this could be real for the reason that Kaza is a very good student, but the officials reveal that KMA's wallet became discovered at the crime scene and he's been lacking for the reason that night time earlier. Then because the police go away, they ask the teachers to inform them if they stumble upon any data approximately Kaza. In a while, Yumi nonetheless cannot believe that Kaza might be worried in tablets, and she or he's convinced there should be every other purpose, so she makes a decision to find him earlier than the cops and heads out. While she's seeking out him, she's stopped with the aid of a set of individuals who monitor to be KMA's friends, who are also searching out him. They break up into one-of-a-kind groups and search for him all day, however, to no avail. In any other scene we see an injured Kaza getting a name from Yanami. However, after contemplating for a while, he comes to a decision no longer to reply the phone. He then notices a police car